Welcome back to the Earliest Reviews. Today's review is focused on Blindspotting, episode 6, entitled Ghost Dad. And the official synopsis of Ghost Dad is Ashley's struggle with how to tell Sean about Miles' incarceration is at a fever pitch. So she enlists the Miles in her head to figure out how to tell him. And to me, I thought this episode was pretty cool. It talked about a lot of different subjects that's relevant in today's society. And here is my episode recap and my episode review. So the episode begins with another segment of Miles in jail, basically giving us like a previous recap of what happened or just what's about to happen in today's episode. And he basically explains that it is time for Ashley to tell Sean about where Miles is. So then the episode jumps to Sean and Nancy. They're just chilling, about to watch a movie. Sean wants to watch Paddington 2. But then Nancy asks him, what is your skin color do you think you are? And he says honey brown. And Nancy doesn't like that answer at all. So then we get to see Ashley. She is figuring out what to say to Sean about Miles' incarceration. And what she's saying is pretty horrible. Like, it's coming off as like cringeworthy. And her worker, Scotty, is like just be flat out honest. Like, tell him that his dad is away. He's going to be gone for like 5 years. Just be brutally honest. So she gets the day off to like figure out what to say. And she sees Miles in her head, the one that she's been seeing throughout the entire season so far. And so the two decide to go for a walk. Nancy, Janelle, and Earl, and Sean, they are all just chilling. And Nancy is still talking about black movies with Janelle. And Janelle brings up the fact of The Wiz from the 1978 version about how it was all written by black people, just having incorrect facts. And then Earl says that only Quincy Jones wrote the music to the 1978 version of The Wiz, which basically makes Janelle a little bit sad and everything. But then Earl decides to bring up some black movies that was produced by like black people that are some of his favorites, such as Meteor Man, Robert Townsend, The Five Heartbeats, which gets the laughter of freaking Janelle and Nancy. I guess they don't like those movies. I think The Five Heartbeats is not that bad. I've never seen Meteor Man, but hey, I'll watch it maybe later on in life. I don't know. So then we see Ashley and Miles in her car. Ashley trying to roll up a joint to smoke one. And her and Miles is just having a good time listening to some music and everything. And then we see another segment of the four gang, Janelle, Earl, Nancy, and Sean just playing spades, eating hot Cheetos, just talking about relevant subjects. And then they all decide to make Sean try out a hot Cheeto, and Sean can't handle the heat, which is pretty crazy to say the least, because hot Cheetos are really not that spicy at all. And so Trish comes in, and Trish decides to make Sean watch Paddington 2, and she joins in the conversation. So then Ashley and Miles again, they are in the wilderness just talking about different subjects, such as what life was like before Sean came. And then it gets to the point where Miles is like that you have to tell Sean. So then the two almost have like a huge argument, talking about loyalty, just things like that. But then Ashley realizes that it is time for Sean to know the truth about where his dad is and just how she really misses Miles. And that's the reason why she can't get him out of her mind, and how she always thinks that he's there with her in the times of need. So then it jumps back to Nancy, Trish, Earl, Janelle having just conversations about black privilege, white privilege, just those types of conversations, and just how people with like certain shades of black are like better off. Just topics that people today won't talk about or are afraid to talk about. Like, it doesn't get extremely tense or hectic, but it does get a little bit tense. And then Nancy talks about when she was younger, about how all black people united it and everything, the Black Panther, and about how they were like a dominant group until the FBI turned them into like a crack city. The conversation does end on like a positive note. Nighttime rolls around, and so Ashley is driving back home where she sees the entire gang with Sean. They are all about to watch movies together. And then there's another crazy segment, this time involving all of the prisoners from the prison that Miles is at, I'm assuming. And they're all just dancing. And whenever like Ashley and Sean are around, they're just standing there just like listening to the conversation that the two are having. And I think this time that was a real segment because, but she just looked at like they were actually there. But the moment arrives, and so Ashley finally tells Sean about where Miles is at. The two have a heart-to-heart conversation. Sean is a little bit upset, but understands that he's not going to be able to see his dad for some time free, but they can visit. And so it ends on a positive note between those two. So then the episode ends with Janelle and Earl continuing to talk. And so Earl, he relates to Paddington too, with Paddington going to jail, becoming a chef in prison. And that's how the episode ends. A few questions that I want to know is that where is Rainey? We haven't seen Rainey for some time now. It's been like 2 episodes. Like, where is she? Segments of this episode would probably have to be Nancy and the gang just talking about different subjects that are relevant in today's time. Ashley and Sean having a heart-to-heart about where Miles really is, and Ashley finally telling the truth about where Miles is at. And I think that prison segment with all the prisoners just dancing and Ashley and Sean possibly seeing them in real time, that was a little bit crazy and weird, but nonetheless, it was still good. But out of all, cool episode in my opinion. And until next time, goodbye.